Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Tommo, and welcome to my pre-race Chinwag for the 2024 Mexican Grand Prix. Is it called the Mexico City Grand Prix still, actually? I had a little look on the F1 website, and the official name is a much longer one. It doesn't say Mexico City in it anymore. I know that used to be a thing. Let me know in the comments. If you're here live on YouTube, you can let me know in the live chat. In fact, hello, Harahan, Maka, Jacob, DMC, Mandler, Daniel, Avkid, Michael, and the rest of you. Don't forget as well, this is going on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Once I'm finished, I'll chop up the recording and chuck it on there so you can listen with your ears, watch it on Spotify as well. I'll upload the full video version to there exclusively. Apart from obviously on YouTube, so it's not really exclusive. And of course, if you do want to support me, you can support me on Patreon. You can either become a soft tier member here on YouTube or a medium or hard tier member on Patreon. I will also be doing an exclusive Patreon only live stream about 5 minutes, 10 minutes after I finish this one. So if you want to do that, you're free to. You're more than welcome to. Thank you all for supporting. Just being here is plenty enough to support me. We go again, okay? Triple header time, middle of a triple header. Austin is but a distant memory, a fond memory. It was a good Grand Prix, wasn't it? And now we go to Mexico, going up to altitude as well, which does make a big difference to these F1 cars. Historically, we've seen certain cars thrive that wouldn't typically. You look at when Mercedes were dominating the engine formula from 2014 to 2021, Red Bull would always run well round here. In fact, Max Verstappen's record around Mexico, he won it in 2017, won it in 2018, Lewis won it in 2019. We didn't have a Grand Prix in Mexico in 2020, and then Max has won it in 21, 22, and 23. So it bodes very well for Mr. Max Verstappen, doesn't it? Can we actually have an engine failure for once? Well, maybe around. Look, thin air means that, again, you've got less of an emphasis on grunt and more on aerodynamic efficiency, right? Because there's less density in the air to help push the car into the ground. Everyone's going to be running absolute maximum downforce to try and generate as much as they can in the thin air that is Mexico. Okay, lovely. So look, I'm expecting. What am I expecting this weekend? What are you expecting this weekend? Let me know in the live chats. I'm expecting something chaotic into turn one. It's typically how it goes. In fact, last time out, that's exactly how it went into turn one. Mexico went for the Hail Mary move. Checo went for the Hail Mary move at his home Grand Prix. Couldn't get it to stick. Max was on the inside. Charles was in the middle. Checo was on the outside. A sandwich. Bosch. Checo flies in the air and retires from the Grand Prix. Wasn't to be. And Max, well, there was a red flag, of course. Kevin had a massive shunt, didn't he? His rear left failed, sent him into the wall, had to red flag the race. On the restart, Max was clean and calm off the line. Lewis managed to get the move done on Charles to take P2. So we had the 3-team podium, which was good vibes. Lando had to make his way through the field. And then had a terrible restart on the red flag. You had Piastri and Tsunoda scrapping, and Tsunoda ended up spinning out. There was quite a bit going on, a fair bit going on. This was a very good race for Daniel Ricciardo as well, which of course he's no longer in Formula One. Can Liam Lawson emulate, right? Because the racing balls in their AlphaTauri guys last year were pretty quick around here. But will that be the case this time? Hello, Peter from Brooklyn. Love to see it. Lando wins with 10 seconds or more. Ooh, that's a big, bold prediction. I mean, look, again, we are in a formula at the moment where the swing between tracks, between circuits, all of these circuits have such different characteristics, and it is firmly determining the order at the top. And I think the drivers, they're making more of a difference now than they have for a long time. Okay, and obviously in Austin, Ferrari had the pace, especially on that medium tyre. But around Mexico, we could have Max's Red Bull being quickest on the mediums, but then we could have Charles Ferrari being quickest on the hards. We could have Lando's McLaren being quickest on the softs. Like, even compound by compound, it's changing up the order, which is fantastic for the unpredictability of the sport. Of course, Max got a really good head start this year. He will convert this title. There's no doubt in my mind anymore. I think that was done after Singapore. Really, the fact that he was able to still score P2 and still only lose 7 points relative to Lando. But yeah, Max is just too good to let this slip. But we're still going to enjoy the rest of this season, no question. Like, there's some quality racing coming up. I can't wait for Vegas, actually. I'm proper gassed for Vegas. And then next season should cook. Because, of course, all these teams are getting to a ceiling, aren't they? They're reaching a point where there's very little performance to add to these cars because of... We've had these regulations since 22 now. We've had them for... It's a shame maybe if we'd have had them for longer. Like, imagine this regulation cycle was running into, 25, 26, 27, 28 even. And these cars would only be getting closer and closer and only able to find more and more marginal, minimal gains. And only, the drivers would make more and more of a difference as well, right? You get more and more punished for a bad driver and more rewarded for a good one. I think there is definitely an argument that you shouldn't keep the regulations the same for too long because, this is meant to be a technical challenge. And as much as all of these teams are very much challenged technically, right? Even in the guys that they are at the moment, and they would be if you extend the regulations. It's nice to kind of switch things up. What we've in this, guys, it will be 22, 23, 24, 25. Would have had 4 years of these regs. I think 6 is a good. A couple of more seasons in these regs would have been nice. Okay, I know that wouldn't have got Audi through the door necessarily or Ford in the door. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think going forward? Regulation cycle. I think 6 years. It feels like we're going to get another 4 for the next set of regs. It will be 26, 7, 8, 9, and then new set of regulations for 30. So it will be another 4 years. But I feel like 6 is maybe the magic number. 3 years R&D, 3 years competitive. Yeah, I think that's the case. Sadua, I think that's the case. These were delayed. You're right, Adonis. Actually, you are right. Forget about that. These ground effect regs were meant to be in 2021, weren't they? But of course, the pandemic saw to that. And yeah, I mean, 2021 was a hell of a season, wasn't it? So yeah, for many a reason, Charles for Vegas. Yeah, I'm feeling good about Charles and Carlos for Las Vegas. But we've got plenty of time to talk about Vegas when that race comes along. Let's focus, of course, on Mexico and the driver standings. After 19 of 24 races, look, again, Max has extended his lead and Lando's done it's ages since Lando's actually closed the lead to Max. It was always a long shot. It was always going to require Lando absolutely maximising week in, week out, which, I think he's got the speed. Does he have the full package to do that week in, week out? I don't believe he does right now. And I think we've seen that, okay? And I think that's been proven. In fact, it's more likely that Charles catches Lando. Way more likely. It's only 22 points now, the gap between the two of them. Actually, let's do a little poll. Let's actually do a little poll because I think this is the more realistic. Will Charles... I wrote Will with 3 L's, but that's fine. Catch Lando this season. Will he catch him by the end of the year in terms of points? 22 points difference. That's not that many per race if you average it out. Everyone's been averaging out the gap between Lando and Max, what it needs to be for Lando to catch him. Yeah, that seems far more likely because, whatever change Ferrari made to their car in Monza, since then they've been consistently competitive, which is great to see. And it's such a shame for Ferrari that they couldn't have brought that upgrade after Monaco, because Charles had his awful, well, not just Charles, Ferrari had their awful run of races, didn't they? I mean, after Monaco, it was barren. It was awful. So hang on, I've got the old... So after Monaco, you had obviously retirement for Charles and Carlos in Canada. Then you had 5th and 6th in Spain. You had 11th for Charles and 3rd for Carlos, so not bad in Austria. 14th for Charles at Silverstone, 5th for Carlos. And then 4th in Hungary. 6th for Carlos, and then Belgium, Charles was 3rd, and third in Zandvoort as well. But since Monza, it's been cooking, and it's it's a shame, first, second, fifth, and first for Charles Leclerc third, first, second, fifth, first for Charles Leclerc. So that is 5 podiums in 6 races for Charles Leclerc, including 2 wins. But look, again, you can say that about, every team, all these top teams have had their moments where they've shone, and the moments where they've kind of subsided a little. And Max has just got it done consistently enough at the end of the day. So, yeah, look, I'm excited for Mexico. I think this will be good. And I think drivers' standings wise, look, again, the only one that matters here is 1 and 2, isn't it? Well, 1 is 1. No one, Lando finishing second or Charles finishing second is not going to change things. It's the interesting fight now is the constructors, the team standings, right? 40 points between McLaren and Red Bull, 48 between McLaren and Ferrari. Now that can go down to the wire, absolutely. That can absolutely go down to the wire. And as for the poll, will Charles catch Lando? 69% of you, nice, think Charles will catch Lando. I think there's enough of a gap. I think 22 points is enough of a gap for Lando to hold on, because the McLaren is not a bad car, and you're asking Charles to outscore. Obviously, we do have the 2 sprints, though, to be fair, so that could swing things. I think it's way, way, way more likely for Charles to catch Lando than it is Lando to catch Max. Absolutely, because Red Bull seem to have calmed their car down a little bit, and Ferrari seem to have found some pace. And it's not like McLaren have lost pace, because again, Lando was flying up until we reached the gearbox of Max Verstappen in Austin. Let's not get it twisted, right? But we'll see. AR17 Tommo Albon banger. I'm betting Albon needs a banger. All right, Alex, I need a banger from you this weekend, please. That'd be lovely, because I'm hearing far too much chirping online about Colapinto replacing you, okay? And I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. Otherwise, team standings. So what we've got: Williams Alpine. That's only 4 points between the 2 of them. Now, obviously, Gasly was quick, in Austin, and he got shafted with a pit stop, and he wasn't as quick on the hard side, but there was really good pace on the mediums and good pace in qualifying as well. So that bodes well somewhat for Alpine, especially around a track like Mexico, where their engine deficit should not be as badly punished around this circuit like it is around the rest. However many horsepower, 15, 20 horsepower, whatever it is, they are down. Okay, Otmar's spoken about this. The other engines are pretty marginal differences, but the Alpine is at a deficit. That should punish them less. And their chassis, which actually, considering they've got a power deficit, they should be doing what Sauber are doing. Right? Sauber have got a Ferrari engine. Okay, they've got little to no excuse. At least Alpine are like, well, yeah, but we've got a diesel, we've got a 1.3 TDI in the back. That's not going to work, is it? 1.9, should I say? And then of course Haas Racing Bulls. So we've got some really interesting constructors battles. To be fair, from a constructor's point of view, which isn't going to generate necessarily the same level of intrigue, but we've got top 3 split by 48 points. You've got Haas and Racing Bulls within 2. You've got Williams and Alpine within 4, which is pretty cool. So there's something to look at there. 1.3 TDI was your first car engine. Nice. Mine was a 1.3 8-valve Fiesta Mark V engine. And it was so slow. It was so slow. And I remember once it started misfiring, and I was like, wow. 75% of an already really slow car is painful. But yes, so there's something to look at constructors-wise. That's going to go down to the wire. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. 67% of you, I'm going to close the poll now, I think Charles Leclerc will catch Lando Norris by the end of the season. It's certainly not unlikely. Certainly not unlikely. Right, predictions time. Mexico Grand Prix. What do I think? And what do you think? But starting with me, of course. My race winner for the 2024 Mexico Grand Prix is Carlos Sainz. I think Ferrari are onto something here. I think Carlos was driving very well. I could have put Charles here as well, for sure. But I think Carlos drove very well in Austin. Bit better rub of the green. You know, I think if Carlos leads out of turn one, you know, if he was punished by his better qualifying performance by starting P3 instead of P4. And I think he's got the pace. And I think if he can find a way to get ahead, then I think he can win this Grand Prix. Absolutely. So I'm going Carlos. He's been driving very well as of late. He's going to be motivated to drive well because, you know, at Williams, he might not get this opportunity. This could be Carlos Sainz's last chance to win a race. These last 5 Grand Prix. He might never get this opportunity again because you just don't know how things go, you know. It's all well and good looking at Carlos right now and being like, oh, yeah, but he'll definitely get to a top team, even if it's not Williams. There's no guarantees. So I'm sure in his head it's like, right, this could be my last chance, my last hurrah at the front. So I'm going to maximise it, make the most of it, keep my stock as high as I possibly can amongst the other teams and amongst the fan base. He's doing a top job. So I think Carlos, absolutely. Thank you, Alex, by the way, for the super chat. Ferrari's engine may be strangled with thin air. I mean, I don't think, in terms of the engines, outside of Alpine, they're all pretty similar in terms of horsepower. I know obviously Ferrari have a small turbo on their car, which does reward them. You know, the slow speed corners, part of the reason why they perform so well in slow speed corners is because they have great acceleration, because they have a smaller turbo. So not taking time spooling up, you're not getting any kind of less so turbo lagging. You're able to get better traction out of these slow speed corners. And Mexico has plenty of slow speed 90-degree bits knocking about, doesn't it? So I'm not sure. Maybe you're right, Alex. Maybe you're not. I'm still feeling good about Ferrari this weekend. You know, the small turbo has an issue with the thin air in Mexico, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's maybe that is going to hurt them, but I'm not clued up enough, to be honest. I'm not. I know they have a small turbo. I know that helps with their traction out of slow speed corners, but how the thin air affects that, we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you, Elliot, as well, for the super chat. It's Mariachi F1 theme time. Yes, it is. Banger. Mexico, I think, thinking of Grand Prix I really want to go to and just like experience the event. Austin is number 1. Mexico and Monza. I'm trying to think of any others. Just for the vibes, I feel like they're like maybe my top 3 that I want to go to. Especially, I mean, obviously it doesn't feel like, if Liam keeps driving like he did on Sunday, then I think Checo's time in F1 is going to come to an end at the end of this season. But as well to have I mean, look, Pato O'Ward's going to be in the McLaren in FP1, so that's good. Also, there is a 90-minute FP2, right, this weekend because of tyre testing. I think it's FP2 or maybe FP1. I think it's FP2. But yeah, because Pirelli are doing a in-race tyre test. So a little bit more mileage for some of the drivers to get on top of the car. Australia would be cool as well. Absolutely. Right, so my race winner this weekend, my prediction is Carlos Sainz. But what about yours? Well, I posted the poll last night. 579 of you voted. Sorry, I try and get these out on Monday, but I left it till Tuesday evening, so no wonder. But make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because I posted it on my community page, and follow me on Twitter at TOMMO'S. Not Tommo F1 anymore, rip, but I just want to be consistent across all platforms. And you can get involved in the polls and give me your thoughts and feelings and predictions. Behrman and Antonelli both in FP1. You're right, Edwin, as well. It's going to be good to see Kimi again. Just be careful, Kimi, all right? Just give yourself a full FP1 this time, please, mate. Your prediction for the race winner of the 2024 Mexico Grand Prix is Max Verstappen. Oh, I missed the button there where I clicked it. 34% of you think Max is going to win the race. 22% Lando Norris, 22% Charles Leclerc, 8% Carlos Sainz. And Behrman's driving the Haas. No, he's not. He's driving the Ferrari for FP1. He's driving the Ferrari, which is quite cool as well. not the house. 34% Max, 22% Norris, 22 Leclerc, 8% Sainz. And again, Max has a fantastic record around Mexico. He's won 5 times around here. He's won every race, well, the last 2 races of the ground effect era here, and one in 2021 as well. Obviously, that was, it was the chassis, because they had an engine disadvantage prior to 2022. I don't think they have that engine disadvantage anymore. Well, no, because they moved to Honda. That's why they lost that engine disadvantage. I'm talking nonsense. They lost that engine disadvantage when they got a decent Honda power unit, which was prior to 2022. When they had the Renault power unit, that's when they had a fundamental disadvantage. But yes, Max Verstappen, 34% of the vote. And, you can see why, okay? Based off his track record, based off the momentum right now as well. I'm not predicting Max to win, but I would predict Max to outscore Lando this weekend. I would feel quite confident in that prediction, for sure. What about Banger Drive? Not a driver who's necessarily going to win the race, but someone who's going to perform very well. My prediction for Banger Drive for the 2024 Mexico Grand Prix is Pierre Gasly. I think Pierre drove really well in Austin to get to where he got. Drove well at the start as well, held position. I think that Alpine upgrade seemed to do something really positive. Again, didn't work so well on the hard tyres, plus he got stiffed by a 6.9 second pit stop, which was not nice, even though it's, those 2 numbers. And I'm feeling good about Mexico. Again, I think their engine disadvantage will be less punished around here. I think they've got a better chassis than we are able to see because of their engine disadvantage. I think he'll go well this weekend. I'm going Pierre Gasly. As for you, Banger Drive, 18% of the vote, Liam Lawson. 14% Franco Colapinto. 11% Charles Leclerc. 10% Sergio Perez. The vibes for Franco will be very good again. Another race in the Americas. It will be even better, I'm sure, in Brazil as well, right? No Argentinian Grand Prix, but these races in the Americas, Franco's getting some huge support. And I think Williams posted a video of him after the race at Austin, just like hanging over the railings and there were like hundreds, maybe even thousands. It felt like thousands. It was probably hundreds of fans there for Franco, predominantly Argentinian as well. It was pretty decent. Standard recency bias. Yeah, I mean, look, Liam and Franco are driving well at the minute, and because they're young and rookies and they're exciting and interesting, I get where the gas comes from. And, they've not really Liam's only had one race. Franco's not really put a foot wrong yet at all, has he? So that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out between now and the end of the year. 11% Leclerc, 10% Perez. So there is some belief there in Checo that he will pull it out the bag in Mexico. I hope for his sake he does. Because I do think the way things are going, like, Liam should be replacing him next season. But I just hope Checo can have a really good final home Grand Prix, I hope he can have a good one. Because he's not leaving, like he said, right? But if you've watched Wolf of Wall Street, you know that, well, yeah, he might not be leaving of his own accord, but that doesn't mean that someone else won't be getting shot of him, So I hope Checo has a good home Grand Prix. I think he deserves it. Given the career he's had, given the highs, especially in Force India, right, the performances he's put in, and yeah, I think he deserves a good send-off, does Checo. It's a shame when you see a top driver's career end like this. I felt the same about Seb. I felt the same about Daniel. We're seeing it with Checo now. Yeah, I think it all the more pays dividends doing it like Nico Rosberg did it, where you just end on a high, You just end on a high. You end as a world champion, and then you sack it off, and you open up an ice cream shop in Ibiza, and do podcasts. I get it, Nico. I get it, right? He was a genius before his time. We didn't know it at the time. Hello, Pondon. Good to see you, mate. Of course, you're back in old Liam, aren't you? As you should, because he's doing a fantastic job. Right, cool. So your race winner, my race winner, sorry, is no, your race winner. Sorry, I can't. I'm really off it today. Yours is Max and Liam. Mine's Carlos and Pierre. My clanger drive for me, Yuki. I think Yuki's feeling the pressure. I feel like there was a sense of that in Austin. His frustration around Liam finishing ahead of him. I think he's feeling the pressure. And then last year, it was a bit of a scrappy race for Yuki. As much as the AlphaTauris were quick last year, he went off battling with Kev. He, of course, then had his ding-dong with Oscar Piastri. I am a bit concerned for Yuki. I'm not sure this is going to be a great Grand Prix for him. I think he might be on for a bit of a clanger here. He needs to get his head in the game and get on top of Liam because, Liam's come in and in this one sample set we have, has outperformed Yuki quite comprehensively in that first race anyway. Liam did a fantastic job. Yuki didn't do a bad job. And you can say, maybe the strategy wasn't fully on his side and he spent a lot of time defending and was caught up in traffic, blah, blah, blah. But look, at the end of the day, Liam did have the more impressive performance, So I'm saying Yuki Clanger. Thank you, Jibril, by the way, for the super chat. A bit of an early take. It seems the McLaren upgrades were destabilising, a backward step. What say you? I think it's hard to say that off of one track, Jibril, and I know that Andreas Stella did say that they anticipate Austin was going to be the most difficult track for them going into this final 6, which is now final 5. And the thing is, McLaren did have good pace once the race panned out. Red Bull and Max did go through their tyres more so, and Lando was, quite comfortably quicker than Max by the end and would have quite comfortably finished P3 if he'd have just got the move done properly and not got his penalty. So also I think it's a case of, Ferrari have taken a step forward since Monza, that Monza upgrade. And again, you look at 5 podiums in the last 6 races for Charles Leclerc, I think it was more of a case of this really working for Ferrari, the characteristics at Austin working really well for Ferrari and then nailing it, than it is McLaren kind of taking a step back. That's probably what I'd say. But you could be right, Jibril. You could absolutely be right. But I think it's too soon to say that. I think if we see, next couple of races, if we see the McLaren, quite considerably behind, you could then maybe have more merit to that. But then again, without that scrap with Max, Lando is finishing fairly close behind Carlos Sainz, I think, in the race. I think so. But clanger drive for me, Yuki Tsunoda. For you lot, your clanger drive for the 2024 Mexico Grand Prix is Checo. You guys, just give him a break, man. Come on. For once. This is home Grand Prix. Come on. Checo, 29% of the vote. Lando, 13% of the vote. Lance Stroll, 10%. Max Verstappen, 6%. In fact, the same 4 drivers in the same order as you predicted for clanger driver in Austin. So, you lot are nothing but consistent, okay? You lot are not. The numbers only changed slightly as well. Max got 6% of the vote. I know this because I manually do all the graphics. And so with this one, I didn't have to change any of their names. I just had to change the numbers a little bit. But there you go. Checo, 29% of the vote. I hope he proves you wrong. Not a reason to get... Okay, that might be true. Okay, he's not necessarily given us a reason to deserve a break. But... Gabad. Oh, Checo. I hope this isn't the case. I really do. This weekend, I really do. But what about Banger Team? Well, I've kind of already explained this as to why I'm going to put this team. I'm going with Alpine. I think, again, that engine deficit will be punished less, and they've brought an upgrade in Austin, which seemed to really help the car. So I'm feeling quite good about Alpine. I reckon one Alpine will get in the points. There's a prediction for you. I'm saying Banger Alpine, all right? Ollie Oakes will turn that ship around. Get them pointed on the straight and narrow and get them sold to, I don't know, some cryptocurrency company probably next year will be on that car, I reckon. Something like that. It's such a shame, isn't it? It's so... Right, sorry, I need to show you lot something, right? and I talked about this in my most recent video, which if you haven't watched, you should definitely watch after this. What a shame, right? Because if Alpine actually took this game seriously, okay, if they actually took it seriously, right, we could have this. We could have this. We should have this, but we don't have this. Okay, look at this beautiful car that we had in 2021. This for me, and I actually did a video with good old Mr. V, right? This is, hang on, open new tab. There we go. This for me is one of the most beautiful F1 cars of all time. And we don't have this, but we have Indiana Jones and we have Deadpool and we have BWT Pink. It's a travesty. It's actually a travesty. This car is unbelievable. This livery would absolutely slap on these current gen cars. Okay? It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love everything about it. It's wonderful. It's amazing. If you're audio only, just get a picture up of the 2021 Alpine and bask in its glory. I love it. And instead, we have basically it's a movie billboard, and when it's not, it's got this horrible pink that just doesn't work. Yeah, first they sold out to BWT, then they sold out to become a movie poster. It's a shame. It's a travesty. But I think they will be good this weekend. So they're my banger team. Your banger team, Ferrari, 32% of the vote. So you are feeling the Ferrari vibes, okay? You might not think a Ferrari driver's going to win, but you're feeling that they're going to be quick this weekend. 32% of you. 15% Red Bull, 14% McLaren, 10% Racing Bulls. And again, the Racing Bulls, as their AlphaTauri guys, went very well last year. McLaren, Red Bull, who knows? I think those top three, right, they are the ones that are consistently up there. And again, on any given tyre compound, around any given track, any one of those three can be the quickest car. I think that's where we are at the moment with F1, which is quality, by the way. I love to see it. And then we've already done your banger team. That is your banger team. I'm just off it today. My clanger team, who I think are going to stink up the grid most this weekend, are Mercedes. They seemed completely all over the place in the race. They had some highs and they had some nasty lows. You know, George almost put it on pole in sprint quali, and then and then you got Lewis crashing going out in Q1 as well. You got George crashing. This car's just not in a good place, and it's not giving the drivers the confidence to excel. And yeah, it's Thomas Cap's too tight. It's squeezing my brain. The brain's just pulsating through this cap. I'm saying Mercedes. They just seem a bit all out at sea, right? And I don't think Mexico's the track where they're going to turn it around. Watch them get a 1-2. Watch him. Oh dear, he did have a very good start, Adanish. You're right. He did have a fantastic start, didn't he? He positioned it. He just threw it up the inside and just gained like 7 positions or whatever. But there you go. Oh, Halita's here now. Okay, we'll start over. Clanger team Mercedes for me. For you, Clanger team Aston Martin. 28% of the vote. 15% Sauber. 13% McLaren. 12% Alpine. Yes, Aston Martin. Sort it out, please. Aston Martin have become that team that I just always forget about. They just always forget about them now. They're just not like, because they're not in a scrap. Right, Sauber, they're memorable because they're so bad. Right, they're at the back. You've got Alpine Williams, they're in a little kind of scrap with each other. You've got Racing Bulls, Haas having a little scrap with each other. Mercedes aren't scrapping with anyone, but they're just hilariously all over the place, right? 1 minute they're almost putting it pole, the next they're, jumping all over the place and shunting all over the place. And then you've got Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull within 48 points in a scrap for winning the Constructors' Championship. Aston Martin are just they're just completely forgettable. Even though it's like, I think the Aston's the best looking car on the grid. As time has gone on, and I've always loved that livery, but I think as time, I'm just like, yeah, that Aston Martin is stunning. It looks so good. But we don't get to see it because they're just mediocre, right? And that's almost more of a travesty because they're just so mid. They are the definition of mid. And because of that, we don't get to see the car. You know, it's sad. And yes, Adrian's going there, but he's not going there. He's not going to be there till like March next year, is he? So that's the, you know, it's 2026 onwards, isn't it? That's why they've got Adrian in, and he can absolutely make a difference to that team. But yeah, it's they're the Bristol City of F1. Maybe they're the PSG of F1. You know, they're throwing all these big money, high profile resources at the team. Is it going to perform? Well, it's not performing right now. There's plenty of time for that to change, but it's not performing right now. Free Otmar, that's what I say. Free Otmar. So, those are your predictions. Max win, Liam banger, Checo clanger, Ferrari banger, Aston clanger, and mine, Carlos race win, Pierre Gasly banger, Yuki Tsunoda clanger, Alpine banger, Mercedes clanger. All different, which is a first. That doesn't often happen. Usually there's at least one that is the same. But yeah, I'm feeling good about mine. Aston Martin slowly becoming the new Toyota. Savage. Well, Toyota are actually cooking with Haas. You know, Toyota Gazoo Racing, Haas double points in the sprint and the main race. 2JZ, come on. What can I say? But yeah, there we go. That is predictions done. Before we wrap up, any other particular topics? We've been going, 37 minutes now, which is usually 37 to 45 minutes is how long I typically have these pre-race Chinwags going for anyway. Haas will sell to Toyota, perhaps Surf Source. That's the thing. I think they're positioning themselves, aligning with Toyota. Toyota can kind of dabble their toes, you know, dip their feet into F1, and, you know, they've got the money to buy it out if they want to, because Toyota is one of the biggest automotive companies in the world. And then Toyota take that team over. You know, you've got Honda signing up with Aston Martin, so you've got a bit of rival. Well, we know Honda and Toyota are massive rivals, and that would be sick. And obviously, Gene's, you know, Komatsu was such a worldie of a signing, like giving him that responsibility, and he's helped broker that deal with Toyota as well. You know, I think Komatsu deserves huge credit, and I think Gene deserves some credit as well, to be honest, for seeing an opportunity, acting upon it. And he's got a Haas team firing better than a Audi-backed Sauber, a Williams with loads of money, a Renault Works team, essentially, right? And the Red Bull sister team. Credit where credit's due, you know? Say what you want about... I mean, I know Gene's got, you know... As a person, there's one thing, right? But he's done pretty well, given the lack of resources is imparted to that team. When you look at over their time in Formula One, I mean, certainly since Haas got into the sport, they've been a more impressive team than Williams. That's for sure. I think that's very fair to say. And Sauber, of course, definitely easy. Antonelli FP1, yes, of course. Antonelli will be in the Mercedes for FP1. Ollie Behrman will be in the Ferrari for FP1. Pato O'Ward will be in the McLaren. And I'm sure there's some others that I can't remember. I'll have kids off to Sainsbury's. Enjoy. I prefer Tesco. I'm a Tesco kind of guy, not going to lie. But yeah, and then extended FP2 tyre test. So 90-minute FP2, because there's going to be some in-race tyre testing. Doohan as well, yes. Helita, Doohan. Jack Doohan in the Alpine. Lovely jubbly. Good to see it. Yeah, but Sainsbury's is closer. Well, just, you know, get more steps in, you know. Get your 10,000 steps a day in, you know, walk Tesco, that's what I say. Perez and V-Car for FP1. There is no way, Philip, there is no way Checo would ever, there is absolutely 0% chance Checo ever sits in a V-Carb. There is no way he would ever do that. Never. Never, ever, ever. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes this weekend. I am feeling positive. I think it will be a good Grand Prix, and I'm excited for this one. So, we've got what? So it's FP1, FP2. Yeah, it's not a sprint weekend, is it? So it's just a normal weekend. So we'll be doing the post-race Chinwag. Actually, what time is it? Local time for me. This race. Actually check, because so the race is at 8 p.m. So it's the same time UK time anyway. Well, obviously, any time. It's the same time, 8 p.m. start. So I'll probably do my post-race Chinwag at around about 11 p.m. / midnight after the race, FYI. But we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell on that front. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for taking the time to support and listen and follow and subscribe and like, as I'm sure you've already done. But if you haven't, double check, just make sure. I'm going to wrap this up now. I'm also going to go live on Patreon in about 10 minutes. So if you do support me on Patreon, then keep an eye out for, you'll get an email notification once I've set the stream up. And then you can come over and we can just have a little bit more of a relaxed conversation about whatever you like. Thank you, Adnis, as well, by the way. Which car is worse, the current Sauber or Russell Kubica Williams? Oh, the Russell Kubica Williams was absolutely way worse than the Sauber is right now. Like, the Sauber's bad, right? It's consistently the worst. But it's not a country mile off. The 2019 Williams was an absolutely abhorrent monstrosity of a car. And it wasn't even ready for testing. It was just awful. The Sauber's not that bad. It's not that bad. Cool. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for letting me know I have my old Twitter in the bio, Jerome. I will change that. My name's Tomo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da. Bye-bye. See you soon, patrons.